Welcome to the Planet Paintball Podcast, the ultimate podcast for paintball enthusiasts. Each week, we dive into the world of paintball, bringing you stories, insights, and tips from players, coaches, and industry insiders. Sponsored by 1023 Sportswear. Looking for high-quality gear that performs as hard as you do? Check out 1023 Sportswear. And as a listener of the Planet Paintball Podcast, you can get 20% off your order with the code PLANETPaintball. Suit up, save big, and play your best.
And welcome back to the Planet Paintball Podcast. With me, I got the boys from War back after their third place at the NRPL like a week ago. Maybe a week and a half by the time this goes out. We'll see. We're running closer, boys, than we were for the last time you guys jumped on. Upgraded from the garage into a room. So,
Looking good, looking sweet.
Looks great in there.
Yeah. So, Chris, I put up an Ironman jersey just for you tonight.
I appreciate
There
it.
it is.
I appreciate that. You need that. Got to represent the
And then
boys.
The image jersey.
Represent the men.
Standard.
Oh, he's got the image on too.
Shoot. You got to represent my other boys, too.
Yeah. So, but how you guys been doing?
Man, living.
Been doing good.
So, first one out of the box, got a medal, taking the step up to D3. Take us through the event, the prep, all of it, man.
So I'll let Anthony and Alex go over the prep beforehand because I was only there at the event, but they definitely put in work. We've been setting up like itineraries. I'll go through and write down drills and list and then send it to them in the preparation towards the event. And then layout, I believe they typically do like a scrimmage. And so I'll go ahead and let them go through that.
You want that, Alex, or you want me to go?
Yeah, I mean, I can take it.
Yeah.
We picked up a couple new bodies and we kind of needed to get them worked in and everything. We knew we wanted to do the itinerary. Christopher sets it up. We do 2 days. Last year, we were kind of like back and forth between one day over and over. And we were like, well, we want to be organized. So we had people traveling. It's like, okay, well, we'll bring everybody in and do a 2-day practice. One day being the itinerary where we start at like 9 and we have several drills set up and they're all timed so that we stay on task, take our breaks here and there. And then the next day we go into either more in-depth drill or we have a scrimmage. So first practice, we had the itinerary day. The second day was supposed to be an itinerary day. And then the field that we were at had a local team that we competed with all last year that won the series. So I'm pretty sure they won the series. And so we ended up playing them and used it as a scrimmage day. And then the second practice, we coordinated a little better, got the itinerary the first day, and then we went out to Jacksonville Paintball and scrimmaged the coup and OFP as well as Nomads, the same people we scrimmaged before. Because of NRPL being blind, we've tried to play those layouts like they were blind. So that was during the Tampa layout, and we decided, well, we'll just not look at it, go out there and play fresh.
Okay.
And I think it turned out pretty good. I felt like everything that we needed to connect on, we were able to do before the event. And the new guys that we have on the team now, it gave them it set a standard for what we believe in as a team, what we stand by. And it also allowed them to become more like integrated. It allowed them to integrate. Everything ended up smooth. And then when we got to the tournament, I mean, it proved itself to be, viable.
So who are the new guys? You want to shout them out real quick?
Absolutely. So we picked up a young guy. He's 18, young kid from Charlotte, North Carolina, Cameron Lowrance. And we picked up Absolute Dog and Darius Quagger.
Also a dog.
Right. I think he spent some time out in California, played some dub Cs, if I'm not mistaken. And then he moved here. Anthony actually played with him when Anthony guested at Atlantic City with Crisis, and he met him. And then we do invite only kind of thing, where whenever we invite people out to play with us, it just helps us handpick our players a little better, who's going to mesh and mix with the group. And Anthony had played with him, and we had done drills, and me and Anthony had played Chicago with Cam, and they fit perfect, brought them on, and they absolutely were studs on the field at NRPL. Made a great difference. It was amazing.
They had a great They have great work ethic. And the biggest thing, like on my perspective, is, I didn't get to coach Cam nor Darius before the event. And it was really cool to see not only the prep that we did and then be able to get integrated so well, but it was their mindset of, all right, I'm going to do my job, whatever the coach says. And they were really good about buying in, listening, and having great attitude. So if there's anybody, like, just kind of like a little tip, if you're trying to be able to get on teams and you're not very comfortable, do basically like what Cam and Darius did, which is just buy in and be willing to listen and just follow through whatever the game plan is that a team has had set, and just really enjoy the culture of what it is. If I was going to give any little advice with that.
Yeah,
I think
best
that's
best
huge.
best way to put it is do your job so well, the way that you're told, that nobody can say anything to you about it. It has
Shout
to be
out
somebody
Titus.
else's.
Shout out Titus.
If anything's wrong about that, it's what they told you.
And
Well,
how
and
everything's
look, you
going
have
has
a
been
coach
great.
for a reason,
Yep.
right? Like,
Absolutely.
if the coaches are making the wrong play, you can't prove that by doing your own thing at the end of
That's
the
right.
day.
100%. Yeah, the thing that I feel like not only do coaches as well as players need to realize is that you got to figure out the difference between every mistake on the field. So you'll have play call mistakes. That's on me. Then you have a personnel issue, which is, in a sense, it's bad, but it's like personnel as in this person's playing bad. That's still on me. The whole thing's on me. But then you have a point where you're like, all right, this was a bad play call, but this person's not really playing bad. They just made a mistake. And then there's times where you just make the wrong play call. It's not a bad play call. It's the wrong play call, and they made the right one, and they shoot two people off break. And it's like differentiating those and really trying to make sure that, all right, I know that I need to switch some personnel. I don't necessarily need to change the play, right? But involving the personnel, I need to just move them around a little bit. And my camera's going wild. Sorry about that. But yeah, just basically being able to differentiate. Okay, this is a mistake by a player. I need to talk to him versus saying, hey, listen, I need to just sit you, and we need to put somebody in there that's going to really do the job. You're not focused or whatever. And I'll fix this while we're doing that. But yeah.
It's cool.
I think a huge part of our team, going through the years is just we've learned that buying into that system, kind of what Chris just said, is a massive part of paintball. Like any team sport, really, you have to have, in our sense, the full roster has to accept and buy into what's going on. We found success with that. And, after winning World Cup 2 years ago, it's not on purpose, but it felt like there was with X Ball being it seemed like our kryptonite at the time. Seemed like we didn't know exactly where the work was going. There was a lot of, I wouldn't say individual, but it seemed more like we may not be on the same page. And then third event came around and something clicked. It's like, we're tired of not making it out of prelims. And then we kept working and kept working and we kept doing better. And we ended up getting top 5 all last year, or the rest of the year. And going into Cup, playing up a division, we were like, okay, this is working. We're playing well. We can do it. We're going to move up. And then that work ethic continued, and we just turned it up a notch. And then here we are at the third. So now it's turn it up another notch,
And a thing that I believe that's now translated to our success in X-Ball is I issue that pro teams as well as really any divisional team have an issue with understanding is that you want to isolate issues. So if we were to go back and look at some of the issues we had in X-Ball last year, it was closing and understanding the situation because we had an inexperience in X-Ball, the format, because we played 5 minutes so long. So you would go look at our matches, first point, we'd always win. But whenever it started getting into where, all right, we're up 2 points, up 3 points, we would squander it because we don't understand the situation to where, okay, we need to play tight, we need to hold, and we need to just draw the timeout, basically win the war, no pun intended, which is the time, and don't worry so much about winning every single point. Sometimes you have to just burn the clock to win the war, win the entire game. And so what we started doing was implementing drills, and we would do 5-on-3 drills, 2 minutes. We would do race to the 50 drills. And many of them are just a culmination of things that I learned from all the teams that I played on. And it's really good to build camaraderie with that. So we would do, say, 2v2s, but the 2v2s have split teams. And so there's you start to see what players are better teammates, as in, hey, let's hype up, let me get my boy ready so we can win this round. And then instead of them focus just on themselves, they'll be able to really go out there and stunt. And then as soon as they're done with their round, they're willing to be, okay, hey, what do you need? All right, hey, he's coming out this way. He's coming out a little high. Focus on that in these very isolated drills, and it just continues to just build off of any mistakes you had at the last event. And then not only that, build some chemistry because it's always competitive. And I think that's really been what's been setting us apart, involving our mindset, as well as it proves that we put in work and we went up a division. And to be able to place third from going from D4 to D3 is, in my opinion, a big jump. And if you go look, it wasn't a perfect dominant victory, but we were fighting tooth and nail and learning the entire event. And that just shows grit, which is something you can't even teach.
I feel like he put that perfect because it felt like tooth and nail, like the entire way. It was fun though.
Yeah, it was a great event.
So a grinder of an event then, huh?
Absolutely. Everybody had to dig deep. And that's where what he says, like every drill we did, the way the mentality was the way the mentality was set at those practices, it allowed us to each kind of look at each other and be like, hey, like we're just going to go, keep going, foot on neck.
We have to give a lot of credit to the players in general because, without them and their ability to really, buy in to what we're talking about, we can't make it happen. It's a team sport because we were limited on staff. Our pit guy, our dad, wasn't able to make it. And we were having players. We had 7 guys, and we have Bill, who is our pit guy now. He was there. He was helping us, and a big shout out to Bill because he was able to help us with housing and being able to come out there and kept everything organized in the pits. But still, one individual still needs help when it comes to like running pods. So we had 7 guys, and the 2 players that sat ran pods.
Yep.
And then what's crazy is that they would be running as they're running on the field in between the time. I'd be like, hey, you're on. And they would be running back, ready to go. And then the next person would pick it up. And nobody on the whole team, not one individual, complained or did anything that was selfish in that moment. And that right there is exactly why I think the team is so different from others, is because we put the team first, and the individuals, they will get their moment when the team calls for it.
I do want to add to that. Christopher mentioned Bill. Bill got his entire family involved in it. They're awesome people. His brother helped. His mom helped us with the housing, and Carolina. So I told Bill, he's like, hey guys, look, you can come up, you can stay in the basement, all this at the third. And I had only seen one basement in my entire life, so I'm thinking concrete floor, little light, and we're there for it. Like we'll sleep. I've slept in the car. We slept in cars for tournaments, right? So we pull up and I'm like, Bill, this is a house underground. What are you talking about? And he's like, what you're describing, Alex, is like a cellar. And I didn't know. So it was really nice. But shout out to his entire family. They helped us in every way possible to make it happen. And I appreciate them forever.
Awesome. Yeah, they're built a little different up north, aren't they?
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely.
Anthony, you want to kind of take us through the prelims a little bit?
Dude, the prelims the first 2 games were really, really good. Like it was kind of like getting the wind in our sails, and it was a big confidence boost going into a new division. And I'm not going to say it was any blowout games, but they were just really good games that we were just playing better. And then that was the first 2 games. The third game we played the shooters, and it was a hard fought tie. It really was.
The story of why the shooters match, I think, was one of the best ones. And I think we all can agree on that. Like involving like Trey and the coaching. Go through that a little bit, Anthony.
Yeah. Trey Young, which is the guy that Christopher used to play with and we're really good friends with, is the coach of the shooters. Like it was kind of like one of those things where it's not really a rivalry, but it's more or less like, I'm not gonna let this guy beat me.
Boy, I don't want to. I was talking shit the whole time.
We can't let this guy beat us. And on top of that, another guy that Christopher used to play with, Corey, was playing on the team.
I call him C Killer, so I would say C killed before we played and C murdered.
Yeah, it was just, and we were trying to we wanted to key up on Corey. But on top of that, their snake player, Tony Is it Angagliato?
Ingagliato.
He's a killer
That
too.
dude's a unit.
He's good. He's good. So it was one of the two because shooting people off break on this layout, like your twos on the snake and Dorito side could only shoot cross to shoot people off break. So you were having to pick where you were going to put the standing gun, whether it be on Dorito side or on snake side. And so it was, if you give one, or if you shoot at one, you're giving the other one his pretty much his way, whatever he wants to do. So it was a hard pick on that. We shot snake side. Corey runs down to hour 20, which is our Dorito 2. So then we had to switch it over to that. And then late game, the snake it was a really good bunker, but it was only if you got to their negative, and then you had to fight the only person that could see you, which was the home. So all I had to do was shoot Dorito side off break, and if I heard that he made it into the snake, I would pretty much roll off and shoot off at the there was a gap between what we called the Bravo. There was two bunkers that were sitting next to each other, and I would shoot in that gap to hopefully keep him from going around the Bravo to the Charlie, which was in our side of the field. So that would be the only stopping point for Tony. That was the only spot that we could stop him, because the snake was set up to where nobody could really shoot him until he got far down. And it ended up going, we went down 2, or did we go 1-1 and then it was
1-1.
Okay, so yeah, 1-1, and then we went down 1.
So it was
And
1-2.
yeah, 1-2.
Yeah.
And Alex Caldwell goes down to it was technically, you could call it a 1-on-2, but it was kind of one of those things that
This guy went down in our snake. He shot our guy. Caldwell switched over, shot him, and then he ended up in a 1v1. So it was like,
and the 1v1 was about like a minute and a half, 2 minutes long.
It's a long one. He burned
Yeah.
the
all
point
clock.
was 4 minutes and 44 seconds when it started.
And it was a wild match. Chris, there's Caldwell's that guy that if there's moves that he can make that it makes no sense that he makes them. So there was this huge gap in the middle of the field between one tower and another tower.
I about threw my clipboard. I was like,
Yeah, and it
balling
makes no
out.
sense that he can make it, because the guy, I mean, I thought he was shot because of just, there's no way that the guy let him make it through there. And then he did it again to the can, which would have been the money for us. And once he had done that, he just pretty much held dominance on the guy, shot at him, and walked and like jumped over to the buzzer and was hitting it while shooting at him.
I want to put it in perspective of where he went. He went from the Dorito side on our side of the field all the way over to the snake side, the Aztec, then up into their team's tower, then into their team's cam, which was on their snake side. Their player was constantly in the Doritos, holding him, trying to roll off, and he ended up hitting the buzzer, 11 seconds, one-handed, on one, confident as he could be. Like, it's just what he does.
That dude has a horseshoe in his pocket, a golden one. He is that shout out to that guy. Alex Caldwell is an absolute unit. The whole team is dog. So anytime we bring up the team, we're gonna say dog.
Yeah. But that game was a really good game. It was, we ended up going 2-2, it was 13 seconds. Played the last 13 seconds. Nothing came about it, and went out, shook hands. We went on to play Enemy Expendables. And the Expendables match I don't remember how the scoring went, but I know that we were up and we kind of threw it. We kind of let ourselves go. I guess, I don't know if it was confidence from the beginning, but it was one of those ones that it's like, okay, we need to straighten up if we're going to do any good in the next one. Because
I feel like we didn't have enough offense on the snake side, and it was punishing us because they did. And there was like a point where we went far on the Dorito side because that team was not really that well on shooting Dorito way. Like both the expendable teams were like this, and we had a little bit of an enemy, and we were having trouble with Cam and his loader. And so whenever he got there, he wasn't able to shoot, and it kind of threw us for a loop on that point, or in that match in general. But continue, Anthony. Sorry.
So we go up. I feel like we go up. We just didn't hold the composure that we had from the past few matches, and it may have been, like I said, we had the wind in our sails from the first 2 matches, and it kind of killed us on that tie match. Maybe it knocked a little bit out of us, but we tried to. I think that we tried to hold a little too hard for it, because they were able to bring it back with. I think they brought it to a tie with like just over a minute left. and then they won. And then they won the next point, and that was what set it to where we had a loss on our record.
And that guy ran all. We had scoring position. Like we were in their snake, or in it could have been the 50 snake, might be in the next bunker into their negative. Our guy looks up. There's a lot of commotion going on one side, and the guy's just running down the D side and hit the buzzer. And it was like with no time left. And that one's the one that the one that we lost. That was and that if the win was not taken out of ourselves before, it kind of felt like it after that one, because it's like we got a loss.
Yeah, but that I feel like that honestly helped us more than anything, because we had to really dig deep on that next match, because we couldn't throw it away like that last one. We can't go up and lose it. But even if we do, if we go down in the beginning, we've got to stay steady and get our points back and win the match.
Nice. So you went 2-1-1.
2-1-1. Yep.
So what were you on the cusp of making it? I wasn't quite sure you were going to make it.
The brackets we had a convincing enough
margin
first two matches to where, in margin, to where we were fine. Like we were technically still, like, I think we were number 2 seed still in our bracket. So it was fine. And they were taking top 3, right?
Yeah, they took top 3.
And we beat the team that might have, like, if they would have somehow won one of their matches, I think they would have went 2-2. Or 3-1. We beat them head to head. Like we would still be fine, because the team that would have went 1-1 or 2-2 would have just been head to head against us. We would have made it on. So no matter what, we were good. And then the next match that comes up is, in my opinion, the best match of the event. And not only that, like, was so much fun to watch. And if you get a chance, you go to NRPL series on Twitch. And I don't remember the timestamp right now, but it's what Templars versus War.
I got you.
And so the good thing about that match was, I believe we lost the first point, right? And then we brought it back. But in the second point, we call him the Shark. We're going to bring up Caldwell again. He just smelt blood in the water. There was one guy left. And he comes through, runs, and, puts some paint on him, you know what I mean? Just dunks on him. And the thing is like, you know how it is. It's all fair, love and war. It's all about, putting it on somebody in the moment. It's not ever supposed to be like ill intention or anything. But unfortunately, the other team kind of took it that way. And it kind of, I believe, it got into their heads a little bit. They still played a great game. It went overtime. No, it didn't go to overtime. Excuse me. It was almost going to overtime. And so after Caldwell goes and dunks on that guy, a lot of emotion coming up. The guy's talking crap, doing all this jazz. And, we're just not worried about it. We go back in and we get reset. The next point happens. And unfortunately, we lose that point. But then there was a fourth point that we needed to tie it. And we were kind of like, as we lost that third point, it was like rolling 120 seconds and Anthony was left alive. And I kind of see they were trying to come get him, and I towed it quick. Excuse me, I got him, and that was the point before. But the point that brought it to 1-2, it was a 2-on-4, Anthony and Cam, and it was rolling 120. And I went ahead and I was like, all right, I need to tally it because I want to give us enough time. And so I believe it was like a minute and 10 seconds. So everybody comes back in, and I'm like, hey guys, this situation, this is what we got to do. This is the time frame in which we need to win, right? We need to win a point in a minute, right? Guaranteed. And so the boys get together and they go out there, and it takes a little while to get the point. And I believe, how much time was left? Was it 22 seconds?
I think it was 33 seconds.
Okay.
30 something. It might have been 22, but I think it was a double number, so it was either 33 or 22.
Either way, like 33 or 22 seconds. And so now it's 2-2. And War is always going to play to win. And so we set up the point. Whenever I'm calling to play, I send 2 out really wide, 1 send far to the 30 Dorito. I send Alex to the corner, draw guns. I send Darius up the center. I have a safety. I have Anthony and Trey Beatty on the safety to make sure that if something happens, we don't, lose the point. And so what's crazy is that Alex goes out the corner, and I think they were so focused on Darius going up the center that you could see Alex. He's alive, and he's around the corner. Most of the time, that guy dies before, like right after the corner, because it's like, Hail Mary, let's go. Alex is still going, applying pressure, and the guns switch. Well, not only did Alex make it out there, Cam Lowrance makes it to like the 50 Dorito, right? So they're bitched up on Alex and everybody in the center and trying to stay alive in the Dorito, as well as the can on the Dorito side. I believe we ended up shooting some of the snake players, and Cam at 11 seconds hits the boosters and runs, shoots 2 players, and literally hits it on the rolling 1 second clock to go into the quarters. It was
And the
insane.
frog man Cam. The frog man Cam. He's a buzzer beater like unit. He's an animal. When I went around the corner, I got lucky shooting one of the guys. So I was like, I'm gonna keep going. When all those guns turned, I took 2 steps after the corner when I went around. They immediately shot me, and I was like, oh no. I go to get off the field, and then I hear it, and I'm like, oh my God, did he get it? And because the clock said 0, but apparently the actual game clock and what was up there was like slightly different. And so they went back, and even in the match, they go back and they're like, yeah, he got it with like right as the 1 second was about to turn over to 0. And that whole match was full of chirping and back and forth and this whole thing. And to come out of that was also, from a perspective standpoint, like I feel like it was an entertaining match. Like it was like a gladiator, are you not entertained? Like kind of thing. It was sick.
It was awesome.
It was a great match. It was exactly what we needed to be confident in going into the next round.
Was that our 5th match or our semis?
That was the 5th match. That was the 5th match.
So the timestamp on that would be 10:19. If anybody wants to go watch it, NRPL series on Twitch. That was sick. They do a great stream, by the way.
Yeah, they do. I tuned in a little bit. I didn't watch the whole one, but
they handle it. And they got the drones and the pit cameras and the commentators and
cameras too, which are a very nice touch that people forget about. Like they have one static image of just a 50 snake and then they roll with it. You got to have them different angles to be able to
have all of them. They have all the angles. It's amazing.
Great series. John Atkins runs an amazing event, and everybody involved in it, even the team that does the commentating, did a fantastic job. I even got to go up there and do an interview, which I've never had to do at a NRPL or like any really event series. And so it's really cool to see what they're stepping up and be able to provide at in our adventure or in our
Adventure Park.
No, it's not Adventure Park. That's the one in a different location. But either way, all the same. In our Adventure Park, in our paintball, a great field.
Great field.
Great person.
The league was awesome. The paint shot good. The rest of it were great. Everything was good.
And then we went into what match? What is this? Our semis match?
Enemy of the State, first degree, semifinals.
Yeah. No. Are we sure there? Because what would
look at the timestamps, Alex?
So the timestamps. The timestamps have us. I know we played Templars, and then the next team, who did we beat? Was it First Degree beat us? Yeah, so that's First Degree. That was quarters, right? Or is it semis?
That's semifinals.
Semis.
And then we played for 3rd and 4th after.
That's right.
Yeah, and that one, we, in my opinion, they were a great team. If we go and look at it, there was not really an issue of our players being necessarily tired. I'd say it was kind of like letting off the gas, and I'm changing all different colors, but basically it felt that the whole match was very much of a bloodbath, back and forth, give this, take that. But there was 2 particular instances which I think that we can go back to drawing board and drill, which is an issue we used to have, and I think. I don't believe that we were tired, but no matter what, when fatigue sets in at the end of a tournament, you start making mistakes that you are used to making. And the biggest thing we had trouble with is closing points. And we threw away like a 5-on-3. And a lot of it was because nobody was communicating in a way of what do we need to do to win. And so we were having an issue, and I've changed it all different colors. It's crazy. I mean,
being told by Disco Chris.
Dude, he's in the.
It's gonna be like this because my camera is my phone, and the only remote I have is the phone.
He's in SpongeBob's house.
But either way, we'll just keep going with the story. And yeah, we threw away a big 5-on-3. All right, and it was, I mean, good on them. They were very patient and waited on us, but we were in all positions. We were literally in like every 50. And just could not break through because we weren't coordinating. And even Anthony at one point was like, hey, guys, we got to talk. We got to figure it out. But the next step is, hey, who has the ball? Who's the one that can really break this open? Hey, I need help to do this. And, that's just a part of learning curve. And then the other one was earlier in the match, same thing where we had Cam, and it could be where he's diving, the paint's just fragile. Cam runs to the 30. When we scouted the team, we noticed that they never really looked Dorito way at the beginning, and really hardly at all. So we were able to take ground on the Dorito side, but one of the points we went super far, went to the 30 Dorito, which on this field it wasn't incredibly terrible to make, but if they were shooting that way, it's not going to happen. And so we ran and made it, and Cam comes up and he's getting ready to piece up a couple of players, and his loader's down, and then they eventually adjust and switch on him, and it was very unfortunate. But I think, did that one go to overtime and we lost?
I want to say you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it
it was
did go to
we had one
great
overtime.
players.
Yeah, we had one overtime match.
Yeah, and it was that one. And it was a great match. They played great, and they ended up getting second, but all the top 4 teams deserve to be there, definitely.
They were really composed.
Absolutely. Both enemy teams were they were good teams. Like every team we played was a good team, but specifically the 2 enemy teams played with a certain intention that seemed to be different.
Okay.
And then we lost that overtime, and we go into the finals, and you Anthony and I always go back and forth whether it's called a finals or not. It's
not a final.
It's a final.
It's third and fourth.
It's a final.
Right?
You're playing for third and fourth. It's not a final. You don't lose the finals and get fourth, Chris.
It's true. But either way, when we go into the finals, the thing I bring up a lot is grit. Like even our team, and I used to have a coach, he taught about, you can't teach heart. Shout out Troy Geiger, but it kind of translate, and I try to make sure it's known in this team that whenever we're picking up players, we are mainly picking up for the number one thing, which is that heart, that grit, the willing to continue on even if you're tired or whatever, to strive for the goal no matter what, no matter the situation, how you feel. And that's what the players did. Everybody stepped up, and same thing. It was a grinder. It wasn't like a really giving us. It was a very, very short or low scoring match. What was it? 1-0?
Yeah, it was 1-0.
It was literally 1-0.
2 points, 1-0.
And they could have gotten that last point. That was scary because that last point was the first point was long.
Go through the match. Go through the match, because you and Caldwell were studs at the end. The reason we even got it. So go through it.
So the first match we go in, the first point we go in, it's kind of a long one, but we figure it out. We end up getting the point on that. Second match, and this was really the one that there was a shift in the tide. It felt like we get on the field and we're playing. We lose bodies, but we're up 1, so we're still feeling pretty confident. And then Carlos, we're communicating back and forth, but I don't know where he is, and he doesn't necessarily know where I'm at. So there's bunkers between us, and we're trying to figure out who else on the team is alive because a lot happened. And once we finally realized, like, hey, we're alone, it now comes to, all right, the whole time we're keeping up on clock. All right, well, how much more of this can we burn? How much more of this can we burn? So we're pretty much back and forth. Hey, listen, stay crossed. Just if you see something, like, just shoot it, just pump a gap. And then Carlos says, hey, Alex, we got to make a move. And I don't know that he can necessarily see the clock. So I look over and I'm like, no, stay on the gaps that we're on right now. We only have 22 seconds or 21 seconds. So we're sitting there. And we had already killed pretty much the whole team, but we knew there was 1 or 2 bodies missing somewhere. So not knowing the kill count, we're just hoping. Well, match gets over. We stand up. There's a guy in the Delta. And
which is a wedge on the Dorito side.
The wedge, my bad, was the wedge on their Dorito side. Now, I don't know if it was because they were tired. I don't have a clue. But that was a scary moment.
It was a long point. It was minutes of them just waiting and being very patient and understanding the situation. And the other team not only were trying to figure out, but you could tell they were super gassed. And they weren't able to really, make progressions against our team. And I think y'all ended up shooting 1 or 2 of them on there. It was like a 2-on-3 or 2-on-4.
The guy ended up going down in the snake, Caldwell, I still don't have a clue. I think he was in the Dorito one. Even watching the match, I didn't really pay attention to where he was in the last one, but I was in the snake corner, and I'm assuming he was in the Dorito one or the maybe the wedge, but he ended up shooting the snake guy, and then he called the kill, so I knew we shot that guy, but we still didn't know if it was kill 3 or kill 4. It was like lost in translation. But again, the beginning of that point seemed like commotion and a lot of things going on, so it was hard for us to keep up with it. Once that dust settled, it's like, okay, let's assess what we do know and then set up and coordinate what we're gonna do for the rest of this time.
And then we got third.
And then we
Then you got third.
And I mean, at the end of the day, it's never what we want. You want first, period. If very kind of piggyback on what I said earlier, for a team to come from D4 and go into D3, and even if you look at it on our D4 season, we didn't even place. We got a 4th. And to be able to, really assess what's going on and even take the risk to go to D3, because we could have played D4 at the NRPL, but based off of what we kind of all assessed and felt like what we should do, it was better for us to go into Division 3 and really try to prove ourselves. And so we did a way of restructuring how we do practices, and it shows that if you do the drills and you learn the situation, you will do better events, because it's all about prep. When I thing that kind of, as I've coached and now have learned with my brothers, is that it's not about the event and me teaching these guys, or I'm not going to be able to teach everything to them at the event. I'm not supposed to be there for it, nor should they put so much pressure on them to feel like they can't do anything. I used to do that bad myself when I was playing. I would play so perfect and felt like I couldn't make a mistake because I was at a tournament, where actually it should be, you make all the mistakes at practice, you put in all the work at practice, you find a way to get comfortable and play exactly the way you think you would play at the event. Then whenever you go to the event, all I do as a coach, I'm just there to manage and watch my players play. I put them in the best position, and they need to go have fun. And how the players should interact with that is, I'm here to have fun, but I'm here to play and be serious enough to go out there and win. And then now, I had a quote, Kyle Bowen, I have it written down, but whenever I was coming up, he always said, feel it, do it. And that's exactly how it should be whenever you're playing tournaments. Feel it, do it. You put somebody in, go. And it doesn't matter. Like, everybody's still got to work on it. Even myself, as I'm getting up to the pro division, and every player, it's just being more comfortable on basically every step you come up, and every division you go up. It's always about, hey, just be comfortable out there, do the prep, do the work, and then go out there and have fun and play. If you make a mistake, you need to do more at practice.
It's that piggy bank. Put a little dollar, put a quarter, cash out at the tournament. Get your hammer ready.
I like that. Get your hammer ready.
Yeah.
It's that, and back to the team and the staff and the I guess war organization as a whole. Every single person, they're all working. They're all digging deep. Like, these guys they're actively working all the time to be the best player they can be. And us being all on that same page is why we were able to do that. From off season to the first event, if it wasn't that everybody bought into the culture, is working that hard, we wouldn't have been able to do it, even with the mistakes.
I'd like to bring up something too. Even though we didn't win, I still feel that it's always important to have an MVP, and the MVP was Anthony Lennon. And I'm going to give him a lot of kudos, because he played every single point, no complaints, and played some of the best paintballs. Gosh, I keep saying paintballs. It played some of the best ball I've ever seen him play. And the thing that I felt that he did was that he was consistent. He was communicating well. He was probably the guy that mainly shot everybody off break wherever we would switch. And I also gave him, like, you could say, as you go up, you have less reins as a coach. And, like, I would be like, Anthony, you read it on the box. However you kind of see how they're lining up, you switch your gun, because he was playing the back center. And many times he was making the right choice on where to look and getting kills off break. And I would actually like for him to, if he would care to, share a little bit of his perspective on how to be consistent and play well at a tournament that would earn him MVP. Granted, he didn't win the MVP for the event, but for our team and what he was able to do, he was a great leader and was very consistent and played a phenomenal thing. And I want to say this too, it was a very hard pick, because not only did Anthony play good, you had big moments from other players that we brought up. And it's like, man, you know, you got to make a choice, but consistency typically is the thing that I feel that should be number one in a coach's eyes looking for MVP. So Anthony, if you care to go over kind of what happened and how you felt playing, and we give a headband out.
Nice.
Yeah, and you never ended up writing MVP on it.
You can write it. You can write it.
Just go,
But-
Chris.
I couldn't
But
find a
no,
sharp.
so my main thing, like, are you talking about preparation beforehand or while playing, or?
Whatever you want to say. You're
So
MVP.
I know for the past few practices, I've been wanting to be the guy that's I want to win one-on-ones. I used to hate doing one-on-ones whenever I first started back playing. I didn't like doing one-on-ones. Before I stopped playing, I hated them. I don't know why, but I've told myself. Christopher said that there's you need to do them because you learn a lot from them. And I also watched a video that Oliver Lang had gone out to KC Sports Complex, and he was like, "There's so much that you can learn from playing one-on-ones, or even playing the Hormesis style one-on-one." And it's just it's especially in the Hormesis one because you're having to read pressure in a short amount of time. All the gaps are smaller. So that's been my main thing, is just being better behind my gun, being better behind a bunker, everything. And so I've been wanting to be the best person I can be, the best player. So in preparation, like before the event, every day I'd come home from work and I had a tree that I had set up back there, and I was doing running and gunning, shots off break. And on top of that, I just got this gun. So I wanted to make sure that the gun was not at fault for that.
Mm-hmm.
So I was making sure that I was straight with the gun. I was good with my shot, and I've been doing snap shooting, shots off break, just everything I can. And whenever me and Christopher went to fit, we practiced on my hip slide because I was terrible with it. I was extremely awkward with it. So then whenever I got out there, I just felt way more comfortable playing. And I've had a big issue with not being as confident in moving or trusting my gut whenever I need to make a decision. And Jacob was the guy at the cup
Jacob who?
practice. He was
Shout out Jacob Fenton.
Jacob Fenton, Stance Paintball. He told me, he's like, dude, you read the field well, you just never trust your gut. I'm watching you hesitate when you do it, and that's what's getting you killed. The time to make the move is right now, and if you wait 1 second too late, they're exactly that. It's going to be the reason why it doesn't work.
Feel it, do it.
Feel it, do it. So that's what I've been trying to do. And that the whole event, if I like, whenever Christopher said, "Hey, I need you to shoot off break, shoot the snake way," and I'm like, "Look, just let me shoot the deep runner instead of the short runner." And he's like, "Make the call whenever you get there." So then, whenever I would go out to the box, I'd step off the box right whenever they called 10, and I could tell by the way that the guy was sitting on the box whether he was going to go out to the corner or if he was going to go short and go to the tower and the snake side can. So that was my biggest thing, was just making sure that I was getting the shots off break, getting that 20% that Christopher loves so much. That was my main thing. And then closing, I still struggled a little bit with it at the event, but
I
I feel
think
like I did better.
one of the things that I struggle with, and I've seen in Anthony a little bit, and I kind of have alluded to it a little bit, but we're supposed to be having a meeting next week and bring it up, and this is something I was going to bring up to him, is like overvaluing your body. It happens a lot where sometimes you got to be okay with just, you're the guy that's going to be the pawn. Like in the 5-on-3, you're the guy that filled up, and maybe you have to go through and stab somebody. And I think that the ability to try to survive and do what you got to do is good, but I feel that Anthony, in a lot of the situations at the event, should have been the aggressor, the attacker in the moment, and it would have changed the dynamic of the game a lot more if he would have trusted his gut on being the one instead of overutilizing and relying on being alive, which isn't always a bad thing, but sometimes you got to just know the situation, you know.
Doesn't mean it's a good thing.
Yeah. Let me ask you a couple questions from that, Anthony. You were talking about getting more comfortable sliding. So I got a small group of like D6 guys, and they're very awkward at sliding right now. So what advice would you give someone who's trying to get better at sliding?
I mean, honestly, go set up a, like, it's almost like a crash course, and you can start at the home, or you can start at the, what we would call the god of the money, and it's whatever side of the field you're playing on, you want them to shoot, and what it helps them with their first shot accuracy and confidence with their first shot. And then also their hip slides. And if you want to add a dive into it and maybe a crawl, it would help them out. It's just rounding them as a player on all fronts. And it would just being comfortable. So what Christopher did whenever we went to fit, the drill was kind of like a flow drill. And it's shoot, move, make your slide, and it's just getting comfortable and make it like once you get tired, now you're going to start making more mistakes. And that's where your body's like trying to fall back into its old habits, but you've got to make sure that you're putting these new habits into play. So then you're not making those mistakes when you get tired. Christopher might be able to explain it a little bit better.
No, he explained it well. And so the big thing Anthony explained there is the reps and putting in the work. I'd say that add a little detail on top of what he was saying is if you have D6 guys, make sure that they're using their hip. It's a hip slide. It's in the name. And so I have, for a long time, I played on turf. So I had the issue of, whenever I'm going out, I'm using my shin. And so I'm putting a lot of pressure on my knee and my shin. And you pop up quick, but you don't realize that whenever you go to an NXL event or an event that has grass, you start kicking over because what you're doing is you're not hitting an actual point where it actually can slide. You're hitting a very rigid spot that as soon as it hits, it's going to pivot you over. And so I would say if you're playing or coaching these D6 guys, to let them really use their hips and swing out their legs and then use their left leg. Like say if they're hip sliding on their right hip, you're running out there, guns in left hand, you hip slide, you hit that hip, and then that left leg needs to swing around and stomp and then push yourself up. And that's the best way because it's a two-part thing. You could just slide forever, and then you can also just pivot too quick and you just fall over. So you have to slide and then know when you got to bring your leg around and pop up. And that is where Anthony's flow drills and going in and really practicing it and isolating is good. If you wanted to do even break it down even further, I would just take 2 cones and just do the hip slides back and forth, back and forth.
I don't know if you've seen it, Chris. There's a God Films video on YouTube. Splitty was talking about hip sliding. And it's in a video talking about the God Films guy. He's wanting to start playing tournament paintball, so he's going to play D6. Well, he went out and Splitty was showing him how he teaches hip slides, and it's pretty much you stand with your hands on the ground, so it's like all fours. And I don't know what the exact pose would be, but you're kind of like you're pretty much making a triangle with yourself.
Yeah, you kind of bend your knee a little, and then you take the other leg and swing that leg between your hands and that other knee, and you let it take you. You actually let the momentum take you out. And that was a really good, I was going to bring that up. There was a really good explanation of how to hip slide.
Yeah, shout out Splitty, and also God Films. He makes really good videos.
Yes, he does.
Splitty was one of my teammates and a very intellectual guy, and he helped me a lot with a mistake I never knew. Like I'd be playing the snake, and I would never drag my leg under me. I'm playing semi-pro at this point. I don't know. I would never drag my leg. It's hard to explain without actually showing you. But whenever I was like rotating, like say if I'm crawling, rotating from crawling in the snake to a position of like kind of like half sitting, I would never really use my hip flexor and my hip to drag my leg around to be really low when I come up. And so really anything involving like body mechanics, especially like a video like that and Splitty's teaching it, is going to be phenomenal. So if we can, I will send you the link if Anthony has it, and then you could really look at that from God Films and Splitty.
He keeps it short and sweet and to the point. It's
I
awesome.
know it's good.
It was a great explanation.
Splitty's a great guy.
Well, Greenville boys, you know what you're doing next practice now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And BKI, I mean, I'm not a part of it, but anytime you can get on the BKI stuff, I know they have a ton of stuff.
Yeah, that's if you can afford it, I think it's worth the money.
I bought the BKI thing when it first came out, and there wasn't a ton of information. And somebody, I can't even remember who it was, had told me the other day, he's like, dude, BKI is like got a ton of information. I'm like, dude, apparently it has exploded since I had it. So I got it. I'm like, okay, there's not that much on here. I don't really see it's worth the money. Now it is like it's like a how-to book.
Yeah. Paintball for dummies.
Yeah.
Yeah. They got 10 years of content.
Yeah.
So anything and everything is
Unfortunately,
on there.
we're all dummies.
Shooting each other for fun.
Yeah, dude.
Awesome. I want to talk more about the future, but let's hit what we didn't hit last time. And where did the name War come from?
I think it's got to be Anthony.
It's got to be
Yeah.
Anthony.
So the name, we were going around trying to figure out what we wanted to name it, and it was I've always been a big fan of the Book of Revelation and the horsemen. There was 4 horsemen. There was death, famine, pestilence, and war.
Mhm.
And we were gonna go with famine. I'm so glad that we didn't.
Yeah. Oh
I'm
my
glad that
God.
we didn't. Wait, that would have been a terrible route. But they never really actually say the name War, but it's Revelation 6:4. It says, "And there went out another horse that was red, and the power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they would kill one another," being people. This is King James Version. "There was given unto him a great sword." It was never spoken that his name was actually War, but if you read different dialects of the dialects, wow,
Different versions.
different
Different
versions
versions,
of different versions of the Bible. Some say it, some don't. And so the actual one that only had a name was Death.
Mhm.
But the best way to portray it would be that was war being waged upon everybody and at the end of the earth. It really resonated with me, and I thought that, especially this last event, like, we really held to that name. We held to it. We brought a fight. We brought a show. That was what we did. We put
Yeah.
on a show for everybody out
It
there.
was entertainment.
It was a great game, and we made sure that if we were winning, we were dominating. That was what we were doing.
It's
We
got a
even looked at
ring
the-
to it.
We even looked at this is something that I even thought. I'm like, imagine being the locals, right? Say like at a local league, like say AXL now is local. All right, you got guys traveling from 7 hours to come here. Like, come on, they're not going to make it. And that's
not at
how
our house.
That right. So that's how I felt. So we go up there, and I'm like, guys, look, they're gonna think we're nothing. I know this. And Christopher said something that I felt resonated with everybody the second we got there. Set the tone. And when we went in there, we set the tone. And now it's going to be like, I hope they know it's going to be like that all year. And that's like what War is. Exactly what he just explained. It fits perfect.
That's what you're going to get out of us.
Yeah.
Nice.
Absolute War.
You want it, you're going to have to fight tooth and nail for it.
Tooth and nail, 100%, 100%.
100%.
I feel like that name, and it's crazy because we didn't really know when that name came about. It's like we didn't know that we were going to be in the position to actually hold that name. We knew we wanted to, but going to this last event, he explained that so perfect. That's exactly how it felt. It felt like revelation. It was awesome.
I kind of want to bring up something I've said a little bit, and not only our little chants at the end or whatever, but I'm very proud of all the players, including myself, for what we've been able to build. I think it's something very special because we brought it up in the last podcast, but I think it's super important that people know that we don't play politics. We don't do that, and our goal is to win. Period. Nothing else. And so whatever that takes is what's going to happen. And I think that if teams would take that out of their playbook and understand that if you focus on winning, it becomes much easier to do that without all this extra bullshit. Like, why didn't I play this and that? Instead of looking at it as a selfish reason of, oh, why am I not the one playing, but we're still winning, is a very, very much an issue because it's a team sport. And so when you play as a team and you understand that you have a mission statement, and that is to win, you have to buy in completely. And it's always very disheartening to see teams that, somebody will pay for this, or somebody says, well, I'll pay a little extra to make sure that I play. And if that's your mindset, you should just focus on being so good that they're forced to play you or start you. There's been events like this past year, we talked about it. My brothers never even play a point. They weren't playing good. It's not anything personal, and the way we've really done a good job of being able to differentiate ourselves between brothers and coaching, and as well as like some of the players on there like Caldwell, I've known since like I was a kid. I'm talking about like we're brothers. Trey Beatty, same
And
thing.
Trey.
Sorry, Trey Beatty, I've literally known him since I was a kid. Being able to differentiate that I'm coach and they're players and I'm there, and the way it should work is that we're all here for a reason. We all have our own respective position to be able to achieve this thing, and we're not going to have bullshit. Granted, do we have all the funding in the world? No, but we make sure that, number one, no politics. Two, we're going to make sure it's the most cost effective thing ever. And if we make sure that we're not overextending ourselves, we can really do something here and build up. Eventually, we're going to have to start finding a way to bring in more funding once we get a national. But right now, the way we're doing it, if we have that same mindset, we'll be able to be just fine going in the future. And I really, truly say this. I don't see any reason why the team, as long as we keep the core together and we keep the same mindset, we cannot be a dominant force in semi-pro. The transition to pro is always a much more difficult task simply because of the amount of money involved and as well as the issue of losing players at the top 4 level when it comes to cost as well as, just opportunity to play. It's just one of those things. But I see no excuse why the team cannot make the goal that we already set in stone to go semi-pro and be a competitive team. And now that kind of, I guess, ties into the future. Sorry to take a reins on that, but the future I think is very bright for the team. And the only difference between now and the future is I believe we're going to be working harder and we're going to have a better understanding and we're going to have a lot more organization with each other. So Alex, the other day, he calls us, he says, "Hey man, I think we need to do a better job of like setting up meetings and being more organized." And the things like that where maybe Anthony and I maybe slipped up for a couple weeks, busy, whatever, Alex giving us back a reminder is very important. And so it just keeps us all on the same mission that we're trying to build this great organization. And I think it's going to be very, very fun to be involved with the journey. And if any teams are able to watch, we appreciate your support and just follow along and enjoy the ride. Because I think
You can find it here on the Planet
Yeah,
Paintball podcast.
Yes, absolutely. And we appreciate you, supporting us and giving us a platform to be able to communicate and explain how, our team is and what it's about and why we're here and why we play. And it's been very, very important to all of us. I could say that.
That definitely is a big thing. Like being able to get on this platform with you and you're allowing us to tell our story. I feel like for a long time, Carolina, which I feel like we all feel this way, Carolina hasn't had the foot to stand on in paintball the way it should.
Yeah.
And I feel like what we're doing here is giving that. If we continue and we're doing the right things, playing by that exact mantra that Christopher just gave you, it's like no politics, just you want to win, like this is what you have to do. Everybody buying in. I feel like we're setting a good example for teams to come up, afterward, and I just want to see Carolina be a great paintball hub. Like it's ever since I started, it seems like regressed. I hear stories where CFOAs were so big that they were like nationals. I hear all these stories, all this stuff, and it's like, where is that for us in Carolina? Well, a lot of times, and it's been this way for years, like you can pick a player that, is an outstanding player, has an insane future. You can just see it. And maybe he doesn't know the way, or he doesn't know how to get out of Carolina or what it takes. Well, having Chris and, part of being the coach is one of those things which are like, okay, here's the golden path. This is what you should do. I've done this. I did it the hard way. Here it is. And if you follow and trust the process, you continue to get better. You continue to learn. And I think what we're building here and being able to talk about it is going to help people in the future coming from Carolina, especially like the younger players and things like that. It's like, how do we get there? Because if you look at Instagram and you're looking at YouTube videos, I just became an absolute uncle. But
old man.
YouTube videos and things like that, like it's hard to see that and see a path of how to get there. Like if I didn't know Chris and I was like, hey, how do I go pro? I couldn't talk to him. I can't watch it on Facebook or YouTube or Instagram because it doesn't tell the story. And if you ask most pro players, 99% of pro players, hey, what does it take for me to go pro? What do I need to do? There's one thing they say, and it seems so simple, but it's the truth. Just play paintball. Just play paintball. As much paintball as you can play it. And it seems like when I was younger and I heard that, it's like, what do you mean play paintball? What does that even mean? Now that I'm older, it's literally that. You play as much paintball, you get in many situations as you can, and put yourself in a position to be the best player you can. Individually, that will get you on a good team. They will recognize. And that's, it kind of, I'll say this. I've prayed for the team that we have now. Me, Anthony, and Christopher played together until 2017 or 18.
Yeah, I played in 2018. I stopped in 17.
That's right. So Caldwell and another friend of ours, shout out Coy, we've been on teams with great attitudes that just weren't that good. We've been on teams that had all the talent in the world with not a good attitude or not a good work ethic. There's those things, you have to have them. There has to be, you know, you have to have those standards. Yeah, you have to have the balance, right? This is the first time I can actually say, and like I said, I prayed for this. Everybody has a good attitude. They're good teammates. They're a leader when they need to be the leader. When it's time for you to play, they value their playing time. They also value the time that they're not playing, or they respect that time as in, this is my job. It doesn't matter if you go into Snake and shoot 5 people to win the tournament, or it matters, but I'm saying that job is not more important than the guy that is sitting helping the team in the pit. Like, it's all the job that you need to do to get that win. If you all have that one sight of like, gold, let's get the gold, let's win, let's get better, and you're all looking at that, there's no room. They don't have time nor room to get distracted by, I'm not playing, I'm not this, I'm not this. They're all bought into that win. That's the thing that war is. It's kind of a shock, even that I just didn't expect it to get here. Not that I didn't have faith. It's just, I never saw it. I never saw that before. So now I'm in a new position of wow, like, this is amazing. And other people recognize it too. You have people constantly coming up. It's like, dude, congratulations, whatever. And they're just talking to me about it. Uh, like, even I had a conversation with a new guy, Darius Krieger. He was saying, he's like, dude, I haven't played, with that kind of, coaching and that kind of stability and whatever. It was amazing. You go in, I can tell Chris, hey, look, this, that, and the third. And I'm heard. And then here we go, game plan, get back on it. And we're at work. That is something that if every team gravitated around, I truly believe Carolina would have that foot to stand on.
I want to bring up something too. I think it's kind of piggybacking on what you said earlier, involving like finding a path to pro. Hunter, you brought up my name in a podcast not too long ago, and I appreciate it. And you were saying, one of the first few we brought up, which I thought was sweet. You were like, Christopher Lennon had to make his own path, and it was really that. And so, if I think about what Alex was saying, where it seems like pros will come, you just got to play paintball, is very true. But you have to be willing to go to these different steps to make it. Like, if I go look at whatever the path that I took to pro, one of the number one things is that as soon as I felt that I wasn't learning, I moved. I literally moved wherever, whatever was feasible. I went to Florida and played. I went to Virginia. I moved to Virginia. I, went to New York. Now I'm playing with a team. I played with a team in Baltimore. Then I ended up, finally going pro. But over the years, I started playing consistently in 2016. So now I've been playing competitive since now 9 years. And the most important thing was, not only was it just play paintball, but it was make sure that I'm learning from the people that are better than me. And so I told the team, and I've told my brother this plenty of times, look, I'm the pro here, right? And I'm saying this in a confident way because I've made it. And many of the players on the team, they want to go pro as well. So instead of sitting there listening to some BS, listen to me. I'm going to give you everything I got, right? It's free because you're a part of this team and I want to build this thing. And it's very important to me, right? But the opposite thing is, you got to put in the work. Don't talk about it, be about it. But if there's a pro that you meet that's better than me and knows more than me, talk to them. But don't go around and try to learn from any random numbskull that's playing D5 and D6 for 10 years. And no hate to that. But if your goal is to go pro, you cannot listen to people that have not made it. It's just a fact. And it's not any hate or any disregard to anybody that plays paintball and does it as a hobby just for fun. But there's steps to it. There's levels to the game. And even now, I'm having to learn from players that are way better than me, because I myself have a gap that if I want to be one of the best in the world, I have to learn from the best in the world. And so it's the same thing. It never stops. And if you're not really yearning and gravitating to try to win and how to win, you're never going to do it. And so the players that we have, they have access to everything that I've learned. The only reason I know all this is because I've traveled around and did the work and really just wrote down everything. I have list of what each coach has taught me, like full list with their name behind it. And then I also look at all the things that made it super organized, right? I've had great coaches, but no organization. Really, most of the teams I've been with have been very organized, but there were some teams that I was on that weren't that organized, but had great talent, great coaches. And it was like, okay, if we could pair the organization I learned from this team that might not had, perfect paintball coach, but might had a great life coach. So I'll add the life coach with it. I'll add the paintball coach with it. I'll add the person with the highest paintball IQ I've been coached by, and just put it all together. And then I can finally not only teach and remember that I'm going to have to grow with the team. Like if I can teach it, that means I know it. So I'm growing and learning as well. But then to be able to really say, hey guys, listen, here's the package deal, and we're going to use it to go pro. And that's kind of like my whole thing is I want to be selfish in this moment. I want my brothers and my teammates, I hate to say subordinates, but my players that are below me to understand that they're not below me and that we're all here because I want them to know that their ideas are very important and they're real. Because if I'm teaching them right, they're going to have all the ideas in the world that I would be thinking of too. That's been the whole thing of me and now I'm switching. I'm like, hey, Anthony, what you think? Hey, Trey Beatty, what you think? Hey, Caldwell, what do you think? Hey, Darius. And they come up and they say, oh, well, I want this move. And then we use it. And so that to me is not only so important on how do players maneuver through Carolina ball, but I feel like if we can create kind of end it off what Alex was saying, if we could find a way to create an environment that is all about cultivating new players, and Anthony's trying to build a field. We could do all that and have a hub to really improve and grow the sport. We have no reason not to bring Carolina ball back to the top.
I'm going to touch on what Chris said about he gives us this information, right? And the best part is that this is something that we struggle with in the beginning. Christopher said it earlier. Look, when we go, I'm not your brother and I'm not your friend. I'm your coach. Me and Anthony have to look at it the same way as well. None of us are friends or family or brothers anymore. We're in here to do this job, right? Being able to turn that switch on and off and us getting better at it as we go, as well as everybody else, has helped us a lot because, we go in there and Chris is like, hey, made up situation here, but hey, you need to be able to go in there and do this. If you can't do it, we put this has to be done. So we'll put another body in, right? I have to be able to say, okay, and sit down, but then it's not personal, but then to leave that field. And if a player has a question about their paintball career as an individual, every single one of our players has Christopher's number and can call at any given time and say, hey, look, this is something that I'm kind of struggling with here, or do I do this or do I do this? And not only are we getting a pro coach, we're getting kind of a mentor as well through our journey in the sport. So that to me is worth, and I could call him anytime, but just the fact that he's doing that for the players, on the team, it's like that means a ton to us, everybody. And individually speaking, they would all, I'm sure, say the same thing. It helps them a lot. Even just working through thoughts, even if it's just theory. I shoot theory off of Anthony and Chris all the time. It's always something. And sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong, sometimes you give another perspective, but the more minds you got to it, the better.
Yeah.
I have a mentor now, Isaiah Hope. Every move or anything I've ever made has all been taught to him. He used to play with damage. He ended up getting hurt and had to kind of stop, but that's the guy that I call. I played with him, and he's been nothing but a great mentor the whole time and helped me maneuver through my decisions. And then I want to give credit to, because I don't feel like we brought him up enough. He's our, we call him Mr. Nag, and it's all love. But Josh Whittick, he will text me, call me, and ask about all these different questions involving moves and what he should do and how to get better. And stuff like that is, for me as a coach, I gain a lot of respect, and I'm willing to play you more because I know you're thinking about it. I know you're doing the extra little things to try to make it happen, and he's become a really good player and can continue to be an even greater player, as well as all of them. Like Trey Beatty, I would give him credit too now that I'm thinking about it. Trey Beatty has texted me. I've known him for years. I literally have grown up with him.
We got him into paintball a long time ago. He went to Cup with us in 2012. I think.
I played paintball with him when we were playing woods ball, and I was like 8.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, right.
Yeah.
Now it's really cool that I'm able to coach him and have that brotherhood now. And I will say this: he'll text me like, "Hey, what are some drills we can do? Hey, I need some help." Bill Ussery, same thing. He's willing to do that. He'll text me, "Hey, what can we do? How do I improve? What are some drills I can work on?" And I'll call Trey and I'm like, "Trey, we need you to be a better attacker." And he's been putting in the work. And at the event, he's had some issues where whenever we start getting in the moment, he loses that attacking ability. And it was cool to see that in the moments as we were continuing to go up, he was willing to push through that and become the attacker and stepped up at the event. Everybody stepped up, but I really think that's an important thing to bring up, that Trey was pushing through those little boundaries that we all have, whatever they are, and willing to, be a part of the team in whatever capacity whenever his name's called and go play.
It's kind of amazing, like being able to like look at these individuals, as players, and then see them at their own pace get through certain things, especially like a moment like that. Like what Chris just brought up about Trey, right? Like him working through that was like, and us being able to see it is like, okay, and as you see these little personal goals, right, by each or each player, like you've been able to see them, it's like, okay, what we're doing is correct. It's kind of like a check mark. Okay, let's keep moving, but like that works. Like our systems that are put in place now are working, and these people are growing and learning as players, and it's awesome because we get to see them all the time, like off the field, on the field, everything. So they're paintball, I feel like, is a sport that resonates with life so well because it's all about
Yes.
decision making and risk, reward, or risk and punishment. So you see players that go through and learn, life. Like Christopher's a huge example of this. Like I, obviously being the oldest brother, I've seen him a little kid, he's a little timid, and then he gets up and he's having fun and all this, that, and the third. And I just see him going through paintball, and it's almost like as he's moving and learning more, he's growing at it as an individual as well. And through life, the stuff that he's learning, the discipline and all these things, it's about building a foundation and building on that, right? He now applies that to his life. And that has been a huge thing. And to see that now in our division, where you're seeing guys that say at first didn't see the point in this, but now they're getting it. Then you go outside of, in life, that outside the net, and they're changing things in life as well to better themselves, whether it be health wise or organization or whatever it may be. It kind of stems back to the sport or from the sport. And for me, paintball's helped me a lot, when it comes to that. I feel like me and Anthony both are another one. I wanted to quit smoking, wanted to run more, wanted to be more healthy, so we're playing paintball. You come to a point to where you have to dot your I's and cross your T's.
Yeah.
Because if you're out partying and doing whatever, and then you try to show up to a tournament, you might be able to do that, in lower divisions. You get up, they're going to absolutely prey on you. So coming in this year, I'm like, the smoking and the smoking cigarettes and stuff it's over, and I've got to be able to run these miles. And with he went in the gym, works out, lost a bunch of weight so that we can continue to play and keep growing. And I think that
I was
kind of
about to say, Anthony, you look like you lost a little weight since last time I saw you, man. So
Maybe.
good on you.
Yeah.
But that kind of thing's infectious. They see another teammate like grinding, and they're like, dude, okay, he's kind of struggling through this, but let's see him through it. And then whenever you get through it, they're like, dude, I can do that too. I'm going to do that too. I'm going to be with you. And then you have a group of guys that are all in the gym. Like all the war guys are in the gym. We're all working. We're all dealing with life as well as organizing, ourselves in paintball, making sure we're all healthy. We are practicing with intention. We're going hard. And we're throwing the book at it.
Mm-hmm.
If our goal is to go pro or go semi-pro or whatever, you've got to be willing to put in that time, and everybody here is doing it. And that gives each player, when you step on the field, you have confidence. It's like, dude, this guy, Trey Beatty, dog, he's putting in the work. Alex Caldwell, dog, putting in the work. Like each player, as you go through, it's like uplifting. So when you step on the field, you feel as if you could conquer everything.
Super important. I agree. I kind of wanted to bring up something too. You were saying where the players themselves really putting in extra work together. Like I've seen it throughout each division, no matter what division. Top 4 teams are doing the little things a little bit more than other teams. Every division, D5, D4, D3, D2, semi-pro, it's always the same. You know, the players that just joined in, they're struggling. They might be in the bottom of the barrel. And then there's the players that just, they're there and they shouldn't be. Their ego's talking. Then you start getting up to the top 10. And then there's some top 10 teams that that's where they are. They're not that good. They're still learning. And then you have the teams that they could be top 4, but they don't care enough, but no matter the division. And then you start going up until the top 4. And the first, second, third, and fourth team are all grinding and working hard. But the number 1 team is doing just a little bit more. They're talking a little bit more to each other. They're breaking it down just a little bit more. They're studying a little bit more. They're working out a little bit more. And that's why they're number 1. You'll see it as you go. And then if they continue on that path, even if they're not winning, say if the team got second, they're right there. If they just keep going, there's no excuse they can't get over that hump. It's just being patient. That's the thing I'm having to learn now, but being patient.
Well, it's kind of like you look at, so if you look back, right, you have, and this kind of plays on why I said, you know, we pick up people, we kind of handpick them to make sure that they, you know, one, that they'll fit. I truly believe you can teach everybody and anybody how to play paintball, but you can't teach certain things. You can't teach heart. You can't teach that grit, you know, that really go in and get it. And there's certain, you know, you need to have, you ever had like a friend group, or you know of a friend group that had a good group of guys and one guy that maybe didn't fit come in and it just ruined everything. So like we're super picky on who we pick because it's who is going to accept this culture, who's going to accept this work. This is what it takes, you know? So we handpick our players in order to keep. That being said, you look at the teams over the years. Dynasty, longest win history ever in paintball, right?
Yeah.
Who is next? Fit. What is the 2 things in common that they have? They stay together. Whenever they pick somebody up, it's like a group of, they're literally like a giant group of friends. They played years and years and years together. So whenever you pick up these players, you want to keep them.
Won through the divisions.
They've all won through the divisions. So look at it from, you know, if I'm looking at it from our perspective, it's like me and Anthony and Christopher, I can't, because we don't play with Chris really, right? So me and Anthony and Caldwell have played together for years. There's a different feeling on the field. Like I can hear in the tone of his voice because of how much we've played. How, like in urgency, like, hey, we need to do this, or relax. Just in the tones. Or when I see him make one of those high need runs, kind of lanky, I know he's about to go stab somebody in the face. You know, and you could pick up on those things, and that comes from playing with years. Now, we're in this spot where we've all been playing together with the guys that have been from the beginning. We've played 3 years almost together, and we're all getting there. You know, that cohesion of where I can feel whenever somebody's about to do something, or I can. Even necessarily in his voice, I can't tell he's freaking out. I can say, oh, this is a position where last time he kind of freaked out. Hey, stay calm, you know, whatever. And continuing to go forward as we're picking up new players, like I'm noticing that the players that we've had over these years are now doing those same things with them, you know, kind of like, okay, look, we need to build this trust. We need to build this unity that we have because we've done it. And now let's bring them in and have them be a part of that as well. In order to build that team to a fit or a dynasty, like that's what you'll have to do because they've set the model. All we have to do is follow it.
Absolutely.
Very well said.
I feel like maybe I kind of strayed back and forth on that one a little bit. I don't know.
No,
I
think you got it. I think you got it.
Sometimes it gets a little. I'm like, I'm in the middle of telling. I'm like, oh God, there was a really good point, and I'm forgetting it. But we're gonna throw this one in there.
You got it. We might have drifted left or right, but we stayed center.
I need bumpers, dude. I need bumpers.
So you mentioned you guys took 7.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little thin, right?
Yeah.
Did someone just not be able to make it, or
sadly we had a couple things.
I want to say we did pick up 3 players.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then ask and go. We did pick up 3 players at the beginning, and then we just had different situations.
So we've had two kind of like personal life things for two of the players that needed to take a step back and like, hey, look, maybe I can't play this first one, but we're looking to play in the future if we can, and just taking it day by day.
And then Nolan's was that one of our players that's been a part of it, he just had to work.
Yeah. He works like shutdowns and stuff like that, so he's got to be there. But I think it kind of banks on how we deal with things in personal life as well. It's this player can't make it, life things happen like that. At the end of the day, this is a game. So it's if our goal is to go pro, you can't not allow personal life stuff, family, money, jobs, stuff like that has to come first. So
you gotta respect life,
right?
That's the thing that was another thing.
Respect life.
Respect life. Like we as a team, my brothers and I, when we created this thing, we said, okay, we've got to be realistic, and we're not going to make it to where people feel that like at a certain point you should start putting in so much work it's going to get serious. And that's where the sacrifice comes in. But we've got to be able to be lenient on people that, whether it's financial or whether it's, hey, family, hey, I got to go to a wedding, I'm getting married. Like, you got to respect life, like what I just said. And I think something that needs to be brought up, Darius Krieger was not one of the guys we picked up at the beginning of the season. He phones a friend. He did not go to layout practice, comes in and balls his ass off. And at the end of the event, like, he's a part of the team, and we all knew based off how good he was playing, he was going to be a part of the team, but I didn't give him a damn choice. I was like, welcome to the team. Like, basically, like, there's no way.
He actually
you played so good.
He did show up for a practice. So
but not layout, right?
No, we had two mandatories before the event, right? Well, then, we had a couple players that life stuff come up. So I'm like, okay, well, Anthony's like, yo, Darius. So we call Darius, get him up on the phone. I'm like, hey, and he's like, look, I can't make this one, but if we do a non-mandatory, I'll be there. Like, okay, cool. Well, Anthony had to work. So I'm like, well, let's set up a non-mandatory. We set it up.
The rain day?
Dude, and War, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, just so everybody knows, War practices in the rain. We will practice if it's absolutely monsooning. This day was different. This was like lightning, winds like crazy. Like the field didn't even want to put up their bunkers.
I was at work. I work at an airport, and AWAS the system that like it tells you exactly what's going on with the weather and everything. It was pouring down rain, lightning, and there was a concurrent 18-mile-an-hour wind with gusts of 35.
I mean, I'm gonna tell you how dedicated the boys are. Right? They knew this was gonna happen, and they, some of our guys drove like 3 hours. Like Colo drove 7.
Y'all were in the movie Wanted.
Yeah, dude. So we show up. We literally blow they get the field blown up. I'm talking to the field owner. I'm like, hey, look, because they had an airsoft event going on at the same time. So he's like, look, we don't want to blow up the bunkers, and something happened to the bunkers. The bungees get messed up or so the new bunkers. Like, okay. I said, look, well, what if? Because we're going to be out there. What if y'all blow the field up and we'll take care of it? And we're really good about taking care of like the fields, even fields that we don't look, typically play at. We'll clean up after ourselves. We want to leave it better than how it came, right? Which is how every team should do it, by the way.
Yeah.
So we have a good track record of that there. So they were like, yeah, we'll do that. So we end up blowing up half the field. It starts absolutely pouring. And we get out there and we maybe played for 15 minutes doing drills, and then we couldn't play anymore. So we all walked back inside, and we're sitting there. We're like, we'll wait it out for about an hour. We waited an hour, got worse. So we're like, all right, boys, do y'all want to just go get something to eat? The dedication of driving into the storm, knowing it's going to be terrible. Like it says, and then he goes to the event and absolutely studs out, which was amazing. But yeah, Chris gave him no choice. But he did get a practice. It just wasn't a practice.
15 minutes is not.
I'm saying he showed up. That's what I'm saying. He showed up.
I'm joking. Yeah, shout out Darius, man.
Shout out Darius, dude.
%.
When his number was called, boy, did he not play. He played
42. We got a spare jersey.
We have a spare jersey. it's 22, which is my number, and then
Oh,
it's
yeah.
War Dogs.
Well, he
Nice.
has that now. Chris said, dude, you can keep it.
Yeah.
You can keep it. We're gonna get you a new one. So
you
100%.
earned it.
it was a
Nice.
great event, man. I was so happy about that event.
Yeah, it's awesome. Great time.
Well, we're now it's hiding it. We're like right at an hour and a half as usual with you guys. It feels like no time has gone by, but no one's gonna listen to 5 hours of us.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll call it here, but shout out the sponsors. Talk about Defy a little bit. That's a new one.
Let y'all. I'll. These are mine right here.
Or Chris, we'll
I have
loop
my own
back to
section.
you.
I'll isolate my section.
Definitely shout out Defy. They're awesome. The gear's sick. They did a great job. They got it to us like speedy. It was awesome. They take care of their players, and it's really sick. Also, shout out to Chad. He really looked out. Takes us like, hey, look, I got this. Like, you guys, you want to play under Defy? We're like, yeah. And he's really made sure. He stayed in contact with Anthony. He
Yeah,
really
dude.
made sure we were taken care of.
Anytime I have any problems, I text Chad, and he's right there on the Johnny on the spot every time. So it's a huge shout out to him. Customer service is great. Like it's been great working with him.
Absolutely.
100%. And
Shout
the
out
company.
Trade My Gun. Trade My Gun they've been with us since the beginning. And we love Mike and all them out there. They're awesome. Shout out Flo. Steve always is, looking out, dropping knowledge, helping us out. And make sure that we all wear some cool stuff. I think I have my Flowbee on it now, but Stance Paintball, Jacob at Stance Paintball. Get with that guy. He is wicked with a camera. And he's about to start doing video too. So you might as well hop on it now for anybody watching. He's the goat.
Jersey designs. He takes photos.
He does
He
jersey designs.
logos.
He does graphic design. He does logo. He'll do logos. Picture, video, edits. He's killer. K9. As a matter of fact, I wanted to say that Trey Young, purchase shooter. Shout out to that guy. 29K9 too. Always supports. He taught me how to walk my dog in 15 minutes over FaceTime. That guy's the GOAT. Avid, Matt and Avid, huge part of it. We love Matt, and yeah, that's it. Our sponsors support us, and we love them. So,
all right, now that I got the blue spotlight, shout out Die, Ironman, and Valken, and Flow Paintball. Those are Christopher Lennon sponsors right now. Gotta plug myself on this one.
Congratulations on the ICPL win.
Oh yeah,
Image.
Yeah.
I can't forget. Look, I love the Image Boys so much. It's so good. I appreciate you telling me that. That was like the thing that I know we want to cut it short, but if I get it, we'll talk about it another time. But listen, the 10-mans, if you want to learn how to play like the slow style of paintball, you go to 10-mans. Because when I first joined it, you're out there, you're playing it. Actually, the people that do bad are the X-ball players. That's what's so funny. You got there, you're hauling ass. You try to get in some gunfights. You get smoked by like a 67-year-old man with 2 broken knees in the woods. And you're like, what the fuck? Right? And then you finally start learning and you realize that it's just basically a waiting game. You got to, like, I don't know how to explain it. There's something weird about like the angles they use. They're like, yeah, man, I've been playing here for 10 years. This right here over this mound hill, you look between these 2 branches, you shoot, you're going to chop down the back left. I'm like, okay, all right. And it's so much fun. And I remember one of the, shout out Ura Cuevia, Steve, Richie, all of them. They look out for me huge. And then shout out Ethan Adams for getting me on the team. I've had so much fun playing with him. But one of the funniest thing was, I believe it was Richie. Yes, it was Richie. He was talking to me. And look, everybody's like, the meta of the game is ambidextrous. You can use both hands. But he comes out, he's like, you know how to shoot with your left hand? And I was like, yeah, like that's the most basic thing ever. Like, he was just checking, you know what I mean? But I understand that it's just a different train of thought. Like, I don't know. It's super cool. And the funniest thing was, I didn't know they were legendary. I didn't.
oh my God.
It's
Dude,
like,
he kills me with this stuff, dude.
it's like,
Dude.
First Pax and Shane and how these guys.
Christopher gives me, okay, so it's been an ongoing joke for months now, right? My favorite paintball movie is Heroes for a Day. Right?
oh my God.
Christopher
Alex
has
is the Heroes
killed
for
me.
a Day for
I
that.
thought that we made it a whole hour and a half without talking about it.
Come on.
Heroes
That is
for a Day.
crazy.
Heroes for a Day.
Christopher comes home, right? He comes home for a weekend. I said, dude, we're going to watch Heroes for a Day. Well, they took it off
You
YouTube.
forgot about it. I'm so surprised.
They took it off YouTube. So they had took it off YouTube, and I just watched it like the day before. So I'm like, okay, well, we'll watch Push, and then we'll watch Sunday Drivers. And then Christopher's like seeing that like his coach, Shane Pastana. This dude is like a legend.
I want to bring up a story about that in a little bit.
The dude's a legend. Okay, he's playing with a legendary team, Iron Man. Also, another legendary team, Image. And you got picked up there out of semi-pro. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, how have you gone through paintball and not known this? And so
I say like this, I've always
like,
been focused on playing. I've always been focused on playing, and they just recognize the game.
I'm like, dude, how do you not know this stuff? And he's watching these videos, and you're seeing it. It's like, man, like I didn't realize.
Now, so listen. So the first one was Shane, of course. I didn't know. No disrespect. Like, I don't mean it like that. Like, in a way, I just didn't know. It's as simple as that. And so I kind of got a little tidbit, like, from my brothers, like, whenever I got it, I remember before that, I remember this is where I hate to say this, God, it sounds so bad. First, I heard of Shane, like, was Zach Geiger. He's like, I'm getting to play with Shane Pastana, getting coached by him. I go, and I start looking up a little bit, things like, okay, all right, solid, old school ball, this and that. And then I get the offer, and I go to the team. My brothers are like, you get to play with Shane Pastana. Da, da, da. Alex brings up Heroes for a Day again. And
he wasn't on Heroes for a Day.
No, but I was just joking. But listen, either way, then the story I wanted to bring up is whenever we went to New Orleans, we're practicing the Hurricanes. And like, same thing. I kind of had to understand that he's a legendary player, but I didn't realize how much people like really idolize him. So there's a gentleman that was talking to him from the Hurricanes camp, and he was like, "Hey man, I just want to let you know, like, you were like one of the biggest inspirations for me growing up. You know, you're a legend." Now he said it'd be just an honor to shake your hand, this and that. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, all right, he's got some shit. And listen, the whole time, I'm looking at Shane and the guy going back and forth, and Shane, every time he says something good, Shane just looks at me like this. And listen, I love Shane. Shane's fucking awesome.
Dude, Shane's
coach.
A great guy.
And listen, Shane, hold on, Alec, hold up. Shane comes up to me, and he's like, "You didn't even know, did you? You didn't even know." I was like, "I'll be real, I didn't know you got it like that." And I kind of dapped him up. I was like, "You got it."
Let's just make a note of the fact that he brought up Heroes for a Day and Shane. He still has yet to see Heroes for a Day.
Yeah. He does. That's what matters.
Yes, he does.
A legendary coach, my guy. I don't know how to explain it other than that. Then the other thing I want to bring out the Image is like, I didn't know how legendary Image was until I went to the first 10-man. I was in, I think it was Nashville. I went with them in Nashville, and I'm there, and it's like, there's a lot of people with Image shirts around here. We got the biggest booth out here. And I remember I posted something on my story, and I get like 100 messages. And people are like, "You're playing with Image? Oh my goodness, they're legendary." I was like, "What the fuck?" And I come up and I just start having a conversation with Richie and Steve and Earl. And they're like, "Yeah, we used to play like Huntington Beach. We got second. We used to go toe to toe with Dynasty back in the day, this and that." I'm like, holy fuck.
Bro, those dudes traveled the world.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, holy fuck. I'm glad I'm here.
It's amazing because back then paintball was like so big. Like you could excessive. It's what Heroes for a Day is about. It's literally them like going in other countries and playing for money. Like that's how they got paid.
They're Heroes for a Day, you know? Crazy.
These guys.
So was the guy that took it off of YouTube.
Alex probably has gotten the most views this year.
Okay, so wait. I'm on YouTube. I'm at Alex Caldwell's house. We had just got done with the practice, right? We went to go eat. We stopped, grab a beer or two, and he's like, "Dude, I want to watch some like 2012 Wolfpack footage." And he has watched it 1,000,000 times. Okay, I'm like, "Caldwell, dog. Like, all right, we'll watch it." But I've seen it. I know exactly every move that's going to happen in it. I've seen it 1,000,000 times. I'm like, "Dude, let's look through some old videos." So I'm like, old school paintball on YouTube. The first thing that pops up is like Dirter, and you're watching like the short bus stuff. And we go through, and I saw it said Monkey with a Gun, and those were the best movies.
Mm-hmm.
Dirter and Monkey with a Gun made the best movies. So it's like, I go through Monkey with a Gun. I'm like, dude, these should be heat. I saw that they had Heroes for a Day on there. Like, dude, that's my favorite.
Yo, we need a Heroes for a Day counter for Alex Lennon.
But
Heroes for a Day.
We're watching it, and Carl's like, dude, I've never seen this. Like, it's awesome. And I'm like, yeah, it's awesome. And we kept going through. Then we watched. Don't even get me started. we watched the artifacts and like the stories of like Impact and all those like, and what was A Night in November was a sick. They all had like tons of footage and movies back then, and we just lack that now. And so we just kept going with it. Well, then I'm like, Chris, I gotta show you this movie, and he's like, what's the movie? Heroes for a Day. So then they took it off when he got home, so I ordered it. I scoured the internet for this, and I finally bought it.
Bro, he even bought a DVD player for it.
Dude, this is my luck. I ordered the DVD player. It's like this really nice DVD player, and I was like, $27 for a DVD player doesn't seem that expensive, but I get it. DVD players kind of outdated, so like it's one for my computer. So I ordered it, and all the reviews were outstanding. So I ordered it. It worked literally for half the movie, and it hasn't worked since. The DVD player.
I told him it was a Hero for a Day.
It came with all the old like stickers and all this stuff in the little packet. I've been so excited, and I'm like, dude, I think I'm gonna be like an old school paintball movie collector now. And both my brothers know, like, I get into like, there was this one point Christopher brings up all the time that like I wanted a zoo or something. Like, I'm a big kid. Like,
that shit was so funny.
now I gotta collect these DVDs, and then I'll have my moment, and maybe I'll keep them forever. I might watch them like 10 times and be done with it, but then we might decide that we're gonna have something else. But
Heroes for a Day might be the most passionate thing he's been.
Dude, he doesn't understand. It's a great movie.
I wish he would
It's a
show
good
his passion
movie.
on the field.
Dude, I put out there, but all right, MVP, relax.
I need you to be a hero for a day. May 17th.
Alex is about to just like get the chops like Maddie in the Heroes for a Day.
Yeah, there you go.
Look, for anybody that hasn't seen the movie, they need to watch it because it was about a super team. They have their issues, and typically when you have a super team, you get all these good players together. There's a lot of egos, a lot of personality differences, a lot of things, and they're all really good and competitive. So they're having trouble, and then they finally sit down together, and they're at the point to where they're either going to talk it out or fight. And after that meeting, they go on this giant win streak, and it's because they figured it out. And that's like, I took so much from that movie. That's why I'm obsessed with it, and they don't understand.
Got to be a hero to understand.
My God, dude.
They understood when they were heroes for a day.
It's Alex's ringtone on his phone. It's his alarm when he wakes up.
My gosh, dude.
It's the beginning.
It's Matt Marshall.
I was gonna
Wakes him up every morning.
I was gonna ask you guys what music you wanted for your Instagram thing, but I already got something picked out now.
Perfect. That's perfect.
That's perfect.
You need to just edit the cover of the podcast to Heroes for a Day and just put us three. A great story.
I want to tell you,
that's doable.
I appreciate you so much for having us on here. It means a ton. It means a ton to us. Like,
hey, you guys are awesome. I love having you on. We'll do it again after the next one.
Dude,
for sure.
Thank you.
Well, thank you guys again. You know the drill. Hang out for a second.
Thanks for tuning in to the Planet Paintball podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Whether you're out there grinding in the divisional pits or chasing dreams on the pro stage, remember, it's all about the passion, the hustle, and the love for the sport. Shout out to 1023 Sportswear for sponsoring the show. Don't forget to use code PlanetPaintball at checkout for 20% off your order. Gear up, save big. Until next time, keep grinding, keep growing, and we'll see you back here on the Planet Paintball podcast